HOA Karen called cops after my wife moved in too bad. She walked out wearing an FBI badge. Have you ever watched someone call the cops on your wife because she didn't like the way she looked? Because I did. And it turned into the most delicious moment of karma I've ever witnessed. My name's Tyler Grant. I'm a software consultant, mostly quiet, not big on drama. Last summer, I moved into a lakeside neighborhood called Fox Hollow Ridge, a peaceful place where the homes were overpriced, the lawns were identical, and the HOA was obsessed with community image. I knew there'd be rules. What I didn't know was her. Karen Dolores Whitmore, HOA president. Early 60s. Obese. Face like a lemon sucked dry and lips always puckered in judgment. She introduced herself 3 hours after I moved in by handing me a 3-page pamphlet titled, Your Lawn, Why It Reflects Your Soul. I nodded, smiled, thanked her. Then she leaned closer and whispered, We keep things proper here. Let's not make waves. I didn't, for a while. But then my wife, Riley, came home. We've been apart a while. Long distance here working in D.C., me setting up our new life here. Riley is everything Karen is not. Calm, sharp, confident, ex-military, and now an agent with the FBI's counterintelligence division. She doesn't wear suits, doesn't wear makeup, doesn't smile unless she means it. And Karen hated her on sight. The first morning Riley joined me, she walked out in gym shorts and a sweatshirt to get the mail. I was brewing coffee when I heard a voice. Oh, no. This isn't a boarding house. I stepped out onto the porch and saw Karen, panting and red-faced, pointing at my wife like she was a trespasser. Can I help you? I asked. Karen scowled. That woman, she doesn't belong here. We have standards. I blinked. That's my wife. She narrowed her eyes. You didn't register a spouse. You were single on your residency form. We're married. She works in D.C. Karen huffed. Well, then she can reapply for approval. I laughed. Approval for what? To live in her own house. Karen stormed off, muttering something about unauthorized occupancy and unvetted residents. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. That afternoon, 2 police cruisers rolled up to our curb. Karen stood there, arms folded triumphantly, giving a statement to the responding officer. She pointed at our house like she was reporting a drug cartel. Riley was inside, making eggs. I stepped out. Officers, can I help you? One of them, young guy named Jensen, looked a little sheepish. We got a call about a possible squatter. Middle-aged woman. No ID. Possible stolen keys. I laughed. She's my wife. Do you have proof? Before I could answer, the front door opened. Riley stepped out. Gym pants. Hoodie. No makeup. Calm as a monk. She saw the officers, then saw Karen. Karen snapped. There she is. That's her. She's the one. She refused to identify herself to me. I told you. She has no right to. Riley held up a leather wallet and flipped it open. The gold glint hit like a hammer in the sun. FBI. The younger officer blinked. The older one stepped back, eyes wide. Karen went dead silent. I'm Agent Riley Grant, my wife said, cool as winter. You're standing on my porch. And this woman falsely reported a federal officer, likely in violation of multiple harassment statutes. Karen's jaw didn't just drop. It unhinged. You could see the color drain from her cheeks as Riley calmly stepped down from the porch, badge still open, voice smooth as silk. I suggest you stop speaking, ma'am, Riley said. Every word from here on may be used in a formal harassment investigation. You knowingly filed a false police report on a federal agent. That's a felony. Officer Jensen looked like he wanted to disappear into his shirt collar. Karen stammered. I didn't know she didn't say she looked. Suspicious. She walked to the mailbox, I said, in a sweatshirt. Riley turned to the officers. I'd like to file a formal complaint for misuse of emergency services, false reporting, and targeted harassment by a neighborhood authority. The senior officer nodded. Understood, Agent Grant. We'll be filing a report with our supervisor. You're well within your rights. Karen started stuttering something about just being cautious, but no one was listening anymore. Not even her precious clipboard could save her now. And then twist one dropped. Because while this little show was happening outside, Riley's phone had already triggered an internal flag. See, The FBI's database had a record of Karen's name, not as a criminal, but as a flagged HOA entity. She'd been reported multiple times in other districts across the country under different HOAs. Same pattern: power hoarding, targeting residents based on race or appearance, manipulating HOA bylaws to expel or fine those she didn't like. Riley pulled up the report. Karen Dolores Whitmore, she read aloud. 3 complaints in 2015. 4 in 2018. 1 open review pending in Georgia for discriminatory policy enforcement. Karen sputtered. That's not me. Those were misunderstandings. Pattern of behavior says otherwise. Now twist 2 hit. Our neighbor across the street, Mrs. Gonzalez, walked over. Quiet, retired, sweet woman. But she looked like she'd had enough. She said, "Agent Grant, if you're investigating this HOA, I'd like to make a statement. Karen tried to fine me $200 last year because my niece wore a hijab on my front porch." Karen's eyes bulged. "Liar," she screeched. But it was too late. 3 more neighbors came forward over the next few hours. One said Karen threatened to file a noise disturbance because his son practiced violin after school. Another said Karen rewrote the neighborhood dog policy just to ban a black family's pit bull while letting 2 white neighbors keep theirs. Riley didn't say much. She just took notes. Calm. Professional. By nightfall, Karen's entire reputation had turned to ash. Not just in front of me and my wife, but in front of every neighbor who had quietly suffered under her rule. 2 days later, an unmarked sedan pulled up to our street. An internal affairs agent from the local DOJ branch served Karen with a subpoena for federal harassment investigation tied to housing discrimination and misuse of authority under neighborhood contracts. She screamed, slammed her door, then 2 hours later, snuck out the back and drove off in a rental car like nobody would notice. But we noticed, and so did the HOA board. They called an emergency vote. For the first time in 10 years, they unanimously voted to dissolve Karen's presidency, citing cause under malicious misuse of office, harassment, and conduct unbecoming of a neighborhood official. She was banned from holding any future board position. Her property was flagged as under community review, meaning she couldn't fine, file, or contact another homeowner for the remainder of her stay. A week later, she quietly listed her house for sale by owner. It's still on the market. The grass is overgrown now. The clipboard's gone. The mailbox leans sideways. It's like even the house is relieved. And Riley? She's made friends with the entire block. She teaches self-defense classes on Saturdays. She helped 2 teens write resumes. And she's leading a workshop on federal housing rights next month in our community center. We got more than justice. We got neighborhood back. And every time someone walks past our porch now, they nod with a little smile not just at me, but at the woman who stood there in gym shorts and shut down a tyrant with a badge and a quiet stare. On the mailbox post, we hung a small wooden sign Riley made by hand. It reads, "Justice lives here." So let me ask you this. Was Karen misunderstood, or did she finally meet the one neighbor she couldn't intimidate? True or false, you decide. The end.